Today we talk more on defense. Jason gets on a soapbox on what drives him crazy, and you find out I barely know what I'm doing in the infield. Stick around. Anything else about defense you can think about that is, weird, interesting, that we didn't touch on? I don't know.
Don't get me on my soapbox about sometimes making the decision not to throw the ball.
Let's get on a soapbox. I like soapboxes. Let's talk about it.
Is there a softball equivalent of a soapbox?
let's get on. I don't know if there is. Maybe like one of those big
cooler
boxes.
The ice chest.
Yeah,
Can we get on the ice chest?
Get on the cooler. Yeah.
Oh man,
this is a pet peeve of mine too. So
especially in lower divisions of softball, you just find that people make that throw. The runner in the back end of a double play is 5 feet from the plate or 5 feet from first base, and you just caught the ball at second.
Yeah.
Don't throw that ball.
Don't throw it.
Don't throw that ball.
Don't do it.
The probability of you getting them out is minus 1% out of a 0 to 100 scale. You're not going to get them out, but the probability of you throwing that away and giving them an extra base is significantly higher.
Especially it's a hurried throw,
Yeah, I think that's the most difficult thing as an outfielder, and I'm not saying that outfielders by any means of the imagination are excluded from making poor throws.
Sure.
But when you sit there and watch the ball get thrown around the infield for no reason, it's so frustrating.
I know.
And so I try to commend people when they don't make the throw all the time to encourage that behavior. And the outfielder representation of that is missing the damn cutoff.
Yes. Or the guy is halfway from third to home, and you caught the ball at 285, and the guy is already done tagging, and you try to throw it home. There's no way anybody's getting that out, but you still throw it, and then now your infielders and cutoff men are scrambling, try to knock the ball down. It gets past, it rolls around the backstop, and the guy that was on first is now on third instead of, on second.
So this brings up actually a really interesting question for you, and this probably the last thing that we would cover on defense, but with a 5-man infield,
yes,
how do things change with cutoffs between the infield and outfield with an extra guy there?
To be honest with you, I am so glad that I don't play middle infield or shortstop or second base, because I have no idea.
Fair.
I assume again, because I'm new to infield, and I've played very respectively to playing standard infield. I've played very little 5-man, but if I'm just spitballing strategy I have no knowledge actually of, I would think the guy that's in the middle of the field. So if you shifted, let's say you shifted and whatever, the second baseman is right behind second base or something like that, or the middle fielder's right behind second, or you shifted the other. I would think whichever guy is behind second base is going to cut off anything, unless it's hard to the left, hard to the right, I would guess, because that way there's no question about assignment. Or you just designate one guy, you say what the middle. I don't know. I don't know. I would guess whoever is farthest to the side of the ball that it went to is probably the cutoff. But
okay.
Let us know. Let us know if you know. If there's a comment section, put it in there.
The most important thing that I've seen with 5-man that just can't go underemphasized is the need to communicate amongst the 3 middle infielders and the pitcher.
Yeah.
As far as who's going to cover second base in a comebacker, or who's going to cover second base when it's, when it goes to second base, because you've got the 5-man that's up the middle, you got the shortstop that's up, in the 5-5 hole. Somebody's got to get there.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes it's kind of one of those, I look at you, you look at me, are you doing it? Okay, cover, but identifying that, because a lot of times what you'll see from a second baseman in a 5-man infield is they'll be playing 5 to 10 feet into the grass.
Yeah.
So they're not going to get there on a comebacker or a throw or a grounder to shortstop.
Right.
So that 5-man's got to be aware of where the second baseman is or the shortstop is, and know is this mine? Do I need to cover? Is the pitcher going to get there? And I think that is one of the other things that I see a lot more is how much the pitcher is involved in covering a base with a fifth man in the infield, because you kind of almost have the freedom to back up and spread yourself out a little bit more, but it also limits the amount of time you have to get to a base to cover those force outs.
Yeah.
And therefore the pitcher kind of helps out a lot more in those scenarios than if you were in a 4-man infield.
Yeah, I would tend to think if the ball is if the ball's not going to leave the infield, like if it's a ground ball in the infield, you would just have to, I mean, kind of go back to like your old school baseball fundamentals. There's obviously an extra person there, but you know, if it's hit to the left side, if your middle infielder is standing, if he's playing right behind second base and you've got to take 3 steps forward to be on second for, you know, a throw to a force at second or something like that, do it. But like anything on the other side, again, unless that guy's standing right behind the base, it's just whoever's positioned initially closest to the bag, I would think. But again, I can see how that can get confusing, and you gotta call it. And our captain for this youth trip team, he likes a lot of times, even when we play ASA, he likes to say, hey, I got the bag. And I think at a certain point you'd be like, dude, don't have the bag. We got like 30 dudes out here that can cover that bag, you know? So like, I think maybe sometimes, especially when you're playing a 5-man infield, you can take some responsibility off the pitcher's plate and say, hey man, just go get the batter, or get that batter to put it where you want him to put it, and don't worry about, you know, covering a bag or whatever. Now, thankfully, again, our captain now, Jamie, like very high baseball IQ or softball IQ. So like, I don't think it affects him. Like, it doesn't seem to, at least, as far as like knowing he's got to cover, or saying he's even like, hey guys, I'm going to cover second. Like, I don't think that affects his pitching at all. But, you know, I could see how it could be if you're like, I got to remember like 10 things, you know, well, just pitch, we got it covered, you know. So
right. Well, especially too, a lot of these U-trip pitchers, because of the prominence of people going back up the middle, they're wearing shin guards and a helmet, and you know, it's going to take them a half step longer to get there than if they weren't wearing all this, you know, gear on. And therefore it could be a bang bang play that if they cover instead of the, you know, the 5-man, it might result in a safe versus an out.
I think as much as the middle infielders can take care of themselves, the better. Again, because you can take care of it when you've only got 4 infielders. So I think you're right. I think it's just communication. I think as long as everybody knows what's going on, then you're going to be good. You know, like, because again, you should have too many guys to cover the base, so somebody's going to cover. You should have too many guys to get the cutoff, so somebody's going to cut off. And then, I mean, you got somebody else left over. I don't know what they do. Again, like, if you know, let us know, because I have no idea. I should probably ask somebody just in case they put me at second base sometime. It's probably good knowledge to have. I don't know. Thanks for checking us out. This is just a small portion of our full podcast on defense. So if you want to check that out, link for Spotify is in the description. Otherwise, thanks for stopping by. Like and subscribe to the video, and we'll see you next time.